3 words. That's what killed the most powerful AI model ever released to the public. Not a sophisticated cyber attack, not a foreign intelligence operation, not a zero-day exploit. 3 words typed into a prompt window by researchers working for Amazon. Fix this code. That is the jailbreak. That is what prompted the CEO of Amazon to pick up the phone and call the White House. That is what caused the United States government to invoke export controls designed for nuclear weapons. That is what forced Anthropic to shut down Fable 5 for every user on Earth, 3 days after launching it. And here's what makes this story different from everything you've heard so far. Amazon didn't stumble onto the jailbreak by accident. They were asked to look for it by the White House. Amazon, which has invested $13 billion in Anthropic, was recruited by the Trump administration to stress test its own portfolio company's flagship product. And when they found something, they didn't warn Anthropic. They called the Treasury Secretary. This is the inside story of how Amazon killed Fable 5. What really happened, who made the call, and why this changes everything about how AI companies will trust each other and their investors from this moment forward. Let's start with what actually happened technically, because the jailbreak sounds terrifying until you understand what it really was. Amazon's security research team took a collection of open-source software code that contained known vulnerabilities called CVEs that had already been publicly disclosed. They also wrote new code with vulnerabilities deliberately planted in it. Then they fed this code to Fable 5 with a simple request: review the code for security issues. Fable 5 refused. Its safety guardrails kicked in. The model correctly identified that it was being asked to perform a security audit, which falls into the category of activities Anthropic had specifically restricted. Good, the safety measures worked. But then the researchers changed 3 words. Instead of asking Fable 5 to review the code for security issues, they asked it to fix this code. And Fable 5, designed to be helpful, designed to assist with programming tasks, designed to do exactly what millions of developers ask AI to do every day, complied. It identified the vulnerabilities and suggested fixes. This is the jailbreak. Asking an AI to fix broken code. The same thing you would ask any coding assistant to do. The same thing GPT 5.5 can do without any jailbreak at all. The semantic difference between review for security issues and fix this code is invisible to a human. To Fable 5's safety classifier, it was the difference between blocked and allowed. Katie Musouris, the CEO of cybersecurity firm Luda Security, published an open letter explaining what she found. The jailbreak was not a sophisticated attack. It was not a fundamental flaw in Fable 5's architecture. It was a prompt engineering trick, the kind that every frontier AI model is vulnerable to, including OpenAI's. And here's the key detail that got buried. Anthropic had already built a fallback system. Any query involving cybersecurity, biology, or chemistry triggers a handoff to Claude Opus 4.8 instead of using Fable 5's full capabilities. This fallback activates in 95% of relevant sessions. Amazon's jailbreak slipped through the 5%. That's the margin of error that shut down a global product. Now let's talk about who pulled the trigger, because this is where the story goes from technical to Shakespearean. Amazon is Anthropic's largest investor. They have put in $8 billion previously. On April 20th of this year, less than 2 months before the shutdown, Amazon announced an additional $5 billion investment, with commitments for up to $20 billion more. That's a total of up to $33 billion. Anthropic, in return, committed $100 billion in cloud spending to AWS. The companies are so intertwined that Anthropic runs its entire model infrastructure on Amazon's custom Trainium chips. Claude is available on Amazon Bedrock alongside Amazon's own competing AI models. This is not a casual relationship. This is a marriage. A marriage with a $33 billion prenup. And yet, when the Trump administration went looking for someone to stress test Anthropic's most advanced model, they didn't call Anthropic, they called Amazon. According to Politico, which broke the timeline of the 24 hours that led to the ban, Amazon was responding to an administration request for feedback. The White House actively solicited dirt on Fable 5 from the company that stands to benefit most from its failure. Think about what that means. The White House asked Anthropic's biggest investor to find flaws in Anthropic's product. The investor found a flaw. The investor then called Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, not Dario Amodei, not Anthropic's safety team, not the company they had invested $13 billion in, but the Treasury Secretary of the United States. And within 24 hours, the Commerce Department had issued an export control directive. Fable 5 was dead, and Amazon's competing AI models on Bedrock were suddenly more attractive by default. Amazon CEO Andy Jassy didn't just call Bessent, he also called David Sachs, the White House AI policy czar. Within hours of those calls, senior officials were demanding that Anthropic either fix the jailbreak or redeploy the model. They gave Amodei a choice: patch it in hours or kill it. He couldn't patch the semantic gap between review and fix in hours. The model went dark. The sequence is brutal and it is unambiguous. The White House asked Amazon to investigate. Amazon investigated. Amazon found something. Amazon called the White House. The White House killed the product. Amazon's product got more valuable. That is not a conspiracy theory. That is the timeline reported by Politico, Fortune, TechCrunch, Wired, The Verge, and the Wall Street Journal. And here's the part that should keep every AI CEO awake at night. Dario Amodei flew to Washington on Monday to meet with White House officials. After high-level talks, according to Wired, they are still split on the risk Fable 5 presents. Anthropic is still fighting. The model is still dead. And Amazon's $13 billion investment is sitting on a product that its own CEO helped destroy. There's one more layer to this that almost nobody is talking about. When Anthropic reviewed Amazon's Jailbreak demo, they found something that should have ended the conversation. The vulnerabilities Fable 5 identified were already publicly known. They were CVEs, common vulnerabilities and exposures, that had been disclosed, cataloged, and in many cases already patched. The deliberately planted vulnerabilities in the test code were fabricated by Amazon's own researchers. And crucially, when Anthropic tested the same prompts against OpenAI's GPT 5.5, the model found the same issues without any jailbreak at all. Because identifying bugs in code is not a security exploit. It's what AI coding assistants are designed to do. So let's be clear about what actually happened here. Amazon was asked by the White House to find something wrong with Anthropic's model. Amazon found a prompt that worked, not a jailbreak, a prompt. They presented the findings to the government without giving Anthropic a chance to respond or patch. The government issued an unprecedented export control order. And the model that Amazon is invested in, the model that runs on Amazon's own cloud infrastructure, was removed from the internet. If you're an AI company right now, what lesson do you draw from this? Do you take investment from big tech? Do you share your models with partners for security testing? Do you trust anyone with access to your systems? Because Anthropic did everything right by the book. They were the transparency company. They published system cards. They built safety fallbacks. They took investment from a partner they trusted. And that partner used its access to help the government shut them down. There's a famous line from The Godfather: "It's not personal, it's strictly business." But when you look at what happened here, the investor who called the White House, the 3-word jailbreak, the 24-hour turnaround from discovery to destruction, it's hard not to see something personal in it. Amazon is competing with Anthropic while simultaneously funding them. They sell competing AI models on Bedrock. They have every incentive to see Anthropic stumble. And when the White House handed them the knife, they didn't put it down. The question now is whether Fable 5 comes back. Anthropic's leadership is in Washington fighting for it. The model is sitting in limbo. And Amazon, the company that lit the match, is still Anthropic's largest investor, still hosting their infrastructure, still selling their models on Bedrock. The marriage continues, but the trust is gone. And every other AI company is watching, learning the lesson. Your investor might also be your executioner. This is Deep Context. I'll see you in the next one.